This video was for Knowledge Organiser 6 for your 10 Foundation classes. What I would like you to do is read the Knowledge Organiser. The first page contains examples that I will be going through in this video. You can watch this video to work through them with me. Then try the questions from page 2 of your Knowledge Organiser before completing any maths watchwork set. So if we have a look, what you've been doing is area and circumference of a circle. We're going to extend this by finding the volume of a cylinder, which you can see here. To do this though, you need to recap what the volume of a prism would be. So the general formula for a volume of a prism can be seen here, which is the area of the cross section times the length. Now the cross section is often the face. If we see the triangular prism here, this is going to be the first example I work through. What you need to do is we split this up into two parts and we find the area of the cross section. Okay, and I'm just going to call that A. I'm going to just say area of the cross section, and I find the area of that front face. So this is a triangle, so I go 5 times 4 and I divide it by 2. So 5 times 4 divided by 2, and that gives me 10 centimeters squared. And I get that by saying 5 times 4 is 20, divide that by 2, and that gives me 10. I then want to find the volume of the total prism. So to get the volume, I do the area of the cross section, which is just this, and I times it by the length. Okay, so I get my area of my cross section, which is 10, and what I do is I multiply that by my length, which happens to be 6, and that gives me 60 centimeters squared. Okay, now I'm going to use this method on this question here now, and I'm just going to move this over here so we can have a look. So if we think of this in terms of what the front face is, the area of the cross section, okay, so the area of the cross section is pi r squared. Okay, and if we were thinking about this length here, often we call this the height because you see a volume of a cylinder when the cylinder stood up. In this case, it's tipped over. So we can say the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared times by the length or the height. So a more generic formula that you would see for area of a cylinder is pi r squared h. But what we're doing is we're doing exactly the same thing as what we did here, which is finding the area of the cross section of the front face and then timesing it by its length. So in this instance here, to work out my volume, I'm going to say that the radius of this cylinder is 2. So I go pi times 2 squared. And then I'm going to times it by the length or the height, depending on how you want to look at it. It's the same thing in this case, so I times it by 7. So I do pi times 2 times 2 times 7. And then I round that to 1 decimal place. The question doesn't ask me or give me any information in this case to round it to 1 decimal place, but I would round it to 1 decimal place. And what I get when I do that is 88.0 centimeters cubed, and that's how I would find the volume of a prism. Can you use that to attempt the questions on the second page and the